Good morning, everybody. Deanie here from Master Teaching. I just want to talk to you this morning about some things that have happened to me in the last week or so, and some things all to do with education that I've experienced. So, in the last week or so, I've had a very interesting situation where I have been working in schools at opposite ends of the socio-economic spectrum, as we might want to put it. So I've had decile 10 and decile 1 experiences, and socio-economically those are absolutely miles and miles apart. So what's my experience in those situations? Well, first I'd like to say that my experience in my high-end school, let's say the decile 10 school, what used to be decile 10, has been an interesting situation because I have seen students who are very, very engaged in their work, and that has been a really nice thing to see, obviously. And not only are they really engaged in their work, but they're very self-motivated and very much in charge of their own use of their own agency. And they own their work really well. And they are actually working in inquiry. They're not working on teacher-directed work particularly. Certainly they are working in work that is actually facilitated at times and collaborated with by the teacher, but not teacher-directed work. So that's one thing. Also, I did not see any situation where all of the children were working on the same work at the same time. Every student has their own inquiry that they're working on and is aware of their learning needs and is taking action to try to solve some of their own problems. Now, it is true to say that even in that situation, in the high-end model, there are children who've been included for various reasons, and so they well should be, but they are extremely well supported. So, and also you would have to understand that their group of collaborators, people who work with them in the classroom, their fellow students, etc., their peers, many of those people are extremely capable of helping them. So there isn't a big gap there really. Now, also I have to say, and I'm sure you're well aware, that from a language point of view, those students have a high level of language ability. They have a wealth of knowledge of the English language and how it operates, and they use it well. They know they don't have to think twice about what they're going to say. They don't have to try to sort out the grammar before they put it on paper. They understand. They have things in their heads already to access. It's like having a language bank, if you like. So that's one experience. And I have to say, the other thing I have to say is that in that situation, it is possible to extend those children into some very interesting areas of learning and to move them along a long way. So even though I think the thing that keeps the teachers on their toes is the fact that they're having to keep up with that kind of pace of learning that is happening. There is also, there are sort of problems with regard to management, classroom management, but that's mainly around the fact that maybe the way that the teachers, look at the situation might need to change a little bit. Maybe we need to tweak our attitudes about what is okay, and also to set the correct boundaries at the beginning of the year. And that's a really important point. And I might make another video about setting boundaries and sorting yourself out at the beginning of the year. All right, so now let's talk about the other end of the spectrum. Let's talk about what I saw in a low socio-economic group, and it's really is very important to look at the difference. Now, first, in the first school, there was a lot of equipment, a lot of paper, access to anything, huge library, huge computer banks, every child with a device, no difficulty whatsoever. Lots of TAs, no problems. High level of organisation altogether. Very experienced staff. Okay, so let's move now to the other one. What have we got? Well, if you walk into the classrooms, they're bare. There is no paper. And even if there's no paper, not every child has a device. So no, that's not the reason. We have children in those classes who are coming to school, and I know you know this, with no lunch. Now, no lunch, that's not even the beginning of it. No breakfast. And, sitting down trying to learn when you're hungry, not easy. So that's not the be all and end of it all, because actually these kids have such a huge gap in their learning that it's almost pointless to them being at school. So in my infinite wisdom, I decided to ask a few questions about how they felt about being at school and what would they need to change to make school more interesting for them. The result was that a group of 10-year-olds could not write full sentences and could not really give me an answer on paper. So I had to listen to student voice, and I think that was a good thing to do, and I think we should all do it more often. So some of the things I heard were mostly about, home's boring, school's boring, sometimes school is less boring than home, but I love staying home. When you go to school, actually you can't do the work, it's too hard. And I would like school more if I could do the work. And I'm spending too long on the mat. And I'm spending too long watching the whiteboard and I don't know what's going on. So I've spent all this time in looking and listening to what students are saying. Now, the result of this is that there's quite a lot of aggro stuff going on. And there's a different culture, whole different culture going on in that school. It's not about learning, it's about surviving. It's not about learning to write, to read and write. It's about getting through the day. It's about being fed. It's about not having to worry about the fact that you've already lost 2 parents and you have to live with your grandma. And this is not unusual, because I can tell you that one of the situations that I saw, there were 28 students in the classroom, 10 of whom had marks against their names for behaviour problems that were around learning, problems that were around difficulties at home, and the fact that they needed support. So 10 out of 28, that's a lot. Yeah, it's more than a third, isn't it? So that's what I saw this week. I did, however, see one thing in the school that was at the lower end, and I need to tell you that, and this is it. They were nice. They were polite. And once they got through the fact that I'm not exactly like them, and we saw each other as human beings, it was a really nice experience to know them. I have to say that at the other end of the scale, I had a lot of difficulty talking to the students who came from the high end school because actually they don't need to talk to me. They don't even need to be really polite. And in actual fact, they don't have the social skills of the other children. So that's my little comment on that today, and I'm sure I'll have a few more. But I do think that we need to look at improving schools from a boredom point of view because we have a lot of students who are saying, very much saying, they're bored, guys. So if you're a teacher, think on that. Okay, thanks a lot. See you again soon.